All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our breakout session. I'm Ukamtakarajan Day, and we will leave your microphones muted throughout the session to minimize any background noise. However, we do welcome you to put any questions in the chat at any time throughout the presentation, and we will leave time for question and answers at the end. This session is called Protecting Your Mental Health. And our presenter, Kiva Harper, is a licensed worker and associate professor in practice in the School of Social Work at the University of Texas at Arlington. Kiva serves as a faculty affiliate for the Center for African American Studies, and her areas of specialty include trauma, military social work, mental health, domestic violence, substance abuse, and grief. Kiva is also the owner of Harper Counseling and Consulting Services in Arlington, where she provides therapy to survivors of trauma. We welcome her expertise on the topic and hope you enjoy the presentation. I now present to you Kiva Harper.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Are you guys having a good time? I know you're not able to talk, but I hope you're having a great time. I see a few familiar faces, so I'm excited about that. I am hoping to share my screen, and I may need some help with that. If you could just tell me if I'm sharing the right screen or not.
We can see your whole slide deck right now, Kiva, on the slide.
Okay.
You go into start
Uh,
from beginning.
okay, is this the right?
That is beautiful.
Okay, so this is where we are. Okay, so I am here to talk to you guys about protecting your mental health. I hope you are having a great time so far at this conference. I'm really excited to be here. So I love this picture of Janet Jackson because it describes my life accurately. If you put something in the chat, if you can relate. And it says, me trying to excel in my career, maintain a social life, drink enough water, exercise, text everybody back, stay sane, survive, be happy. We could add on there socially distance, wear my mask, wash my hands, don't touch my face. We could add so many things onto this, but this is how I feel most days. And so my question to you is, what is stressing you out right now? Go ahead and drop that in the chat for me. I'm gonna be interacting with you guys in a little bit, but go ahead and drop in the chat what's stressing you out right now. Okay, so I was asked to talk to you guys about stress. So we'll start with that. So this little guy right here, does this look familiar? I'm a little stressed right now. Just turn around and leave quietly and no one gets hurt. And if you look at him, even his little mug has a sad face on it. And he's doing the absolute worst thing you could be doing when you're stressed out, which is drinking more caffeine. Now, I know we think we need more caffeine because we feel tired, we need to keep going, but the caffeine does not help. And we're going to talk a little bit about self-care strategies a little bit later. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do before we really get into everything is to do a mindfulness exercise. So I want you guys to take a moment and just relax, okay? Put your feet firmly on the ground, okay? And relax your body. And I want you to take a second and literally notice your shoulders relax. Just drop your shoulders. Notice if your jaw is clenched and unclench your jaw. And just really try to relax your body and take a deep breath in and hold it and then let it out. Take another deep breath in, hold it, and then let it out. One more deep breath in through your mouth, hold it, and let it out through your nostrils. Okay, that was a simple mindfulness exercise to allow us to be present, to focus on the present. we're so busy with day-to-day life and thinking about what we need to be doing next, what we need to be focusing on, that it is very difficult for us to be present and in the moment. How many of you have gone out to dinner and you see a family there and everyone is on a device of some sort, even the baby, and no one's talking to each other? And so I would encourage you to focus on being mindful and being present in the moment, being with the people that you are with in that moment. That does so much for our mental health. The other thing that I was asked to talk about were a few mental health diagnoses, just to draw your attention to it. So let's start talking a little bit about depression and what that looks like. Of course, you know, we all experience depression. Everyone gets depressed at one time or another. Um, Usually it's not a problem. Most of us will get through that. But symptoms of depression are noticing changes in your sleep, changes in your appetite, lack of concentration, loss of energy, lack of interest in activities, feeling hopeless, or feeling guilty, changes in movement, um, physical aches and pains, and suicidal thoughts. Those are some of the symptoms of depression. The next mental health disorder I want to talk about is anxiety. We all feel anxiety as well, and that's a very normal thing. So, with anxiety, there are a couple of categories of symptoms: emotional and physical. So, with the emotional, there is the feeling of apprehension or dread, like something bad is going to happen, feeling tense or jumpy, like you're on edge all the time, feeling restless or irritable, and anticipating the worst and being watchful for signs of danger. The physical symptoms may be the pounding or racing of your heart and shortness of breath. Some people say they feel like they're going to have a heart attack. Sweating, tremors, twitches, headaches, fatigue, insomnia. You may notice an upset stomach, frequent urination or diarrhea. Those are some of the things that happen with anxiety. Again, depression and anxiety are both things that are very normal, and we all experience them. But sometimes we may need some help dealing with them. So, when should we be concerned? When you're noticing that you're depressed or you're anxious or you're both, because you can have both co-occurring, when that happens, your symptoms are lasting longer than 2 weeks. So usually with depression, most of the time we bounce back. Most of us will bounce back. We may have a few days where we're down and then you start to feel better. But if you notice that it's been 2 weeks and it's not changing and it's getting worse, then that may be a sign that you need to talk to a professional. The other thing to notice is if it affects your social functioning. If you're a social person that you normally goes out and does things and you feel like you just want to be by yourself and you can't get yourself out of bed and it's been 2 weeks, then that may be a sign that you need to speak to someone. And then finally, if it affects your occupational or educational functioning. So if you work or you go to school and you're noticing that you're having to miss multiple days of work because you're depressed or because you're anxious. And again, it's been going on for more than 2 weeks. All of these characteristics together might be a sign that you should be a bit concerned and to speak to someone. Okay, so who do you go see? So there are two different levels of receiving help. One is a psychotherapist, like I am. This is a person who is trained at a master's level or PhD level, and they provide therapy. Now, the alphabets behind their names may look like LCSW, LPC, psychologists, you may see PsyD, and others. Those are people that you talk to. And in some cases, depression and anxiety may interfere with our lives to the point where we need medication to help with that. And if that's the case, you will see a psychiatrist or your regular doctor. You can see your regular doctor, but I would encourage you, if the symptoms are severe, that you might want to see a specialist like we would for anything else, right? If you were having problems with your heart, you're going to seek out a cardiologist. So if you're having problems with depression and anxiety and there's no real explanation for it, you know, you're not going through grief or anything like that, you might want to seek out a specialist. And so a psychiatrist has a medical degree and they usually do medication management, and you may see MD or DO after their name. And they don't generally do therapy. There are a few that do, but most don't. The best outcome for you is to see a combination of both, a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist to help you with those symptoms. Treatment. So what does that look like? So you can do therapy in group or individual sessions. You can do medication management. There are also life coaches out there that can be very helpful, and there are peer support groups that can help you as well. So there is treatment and there is hope if you do find yourself experiencing these symptoms. And I think one of my slides may have gotten out of order. So I'm going to have to go back to that. So that's just a little bit about depression and anxiety. And I picked those two because those are the two more common ones. There are other mental health disorders that I didn't want to get into in our limited time here, but those are the two that are the most common. And I wanted to make sure that I shared that. Self-care, let's talk about that. So self-care, we hear about self-care all the time. And usually we think of, let me go get my nails done. Let me go take a bubble bath. But self-care is so much more than that. And so I want to talk to you guys about what self-care should look like. So let's start with right now. We know that we are in the middle of a global pandemic. We just had our election, and it's sure to not be peaceful between now and Inauguration Day. We are in the midst of a civil rights movement. All kinds of stuff is going on right now. And so, how do you take care of yourself when so much is going on in the world? For one, limit exposure. You know, it's very easy to be tied to our phones, like I talked about earlier, and we are on, social media. We're getting news alerts. We're, texting with our friends, and there's so much exposure that it becomes too much to bear sometimes. So sometimes limiting our exposure. One of the things that I'll do periodically is I won't delete it from my phone. I haven't gotten there yet, but I will sign out of my social media accounts so I'm not getting alerts. I will manage my news alerts. I get local and national news, and I will manage those alerts too if it's too much that's going on. The other thing is save some time for reflection, whatever that looks like for you. For some of you, it may be prayer. For some of you, it may be journaling. Some of you, it may be engaging in your art, whether that be, painting, drawing, your music, whatever it is. But spend some time reflecting. That's very important. Being sure that we rest, and that's not just sleep. Sleep is important, but just resting your mind and your body. We talked, there's another session going on right now about social media, screen time. Those things really do affect us. And so resting yourself in every way from those things. Having good boundaries with others. I like to give the example of during this pandemic, people are at different comfort levels. And I have some friends who are very cautious about staying at home and quarantining. And I choose to do that as well. And then I have others that are going out and doing things. And funny story, a friend of mine wanted to go and see D.L. Hughley when he was here in DFW. And I really love him and I wanted to go too, but I really wasn't comfortable. It was a little too early for me to go out. And then later on I found out that he had COVID when he performed right here in Dallas. And so it was hard to make that decision because I wanted to go out with my friends and I didn't want my friend to think that I was being, too sensitive or too dramatic. But, I had to set that boundary because I wasn't comfortable going out. So setting boundaries for yourself, whatever that looks like, and not just around the pandemic, but whatever your boundaries are. Being mindful of toxic positivity. I don't know if you've ever heard that term before, but toxic positivity are those people that always say that, everything is okay, and they will dismiss your feelings. It's a difference between being positive in a healthy way and being optimistic and being toxic. I think the best example of that, I have a few people in my life that are like that. And so no matter what is going on, they always have another perspective for me to look at. And while that's fine, sometimes you just need someone to validate what you're going through and that what you're going through is an issue, and you don't necessarily need someone to tell you, well, it could be worse, or this could be happening, or you could be thankful for that. That's fine. You'll get there on your own, but sometimes it just sucks, and it's okay to acknowledge that. The next tip is to just simply ride the wave. Sometimes that's all you can do. When life is happening, which it does, whether we want it to or not, and you feel out of control, sometimes you just have to go with the flow and take it 1 minute, 1 second at a time and just ride the wave. Seek help. professional or otherwise, those healthy people in your life that can support you. Seek those people, and then maintain your connections. It's very easy to feel isolated right now. So maintain connections with others. Again, people who are healthy. And then one last, well, this is not quite the last, my slides got out of order. One thing I want you to remember is Black Girl Magic. That is the theme of one of the themes of this conference. And while we are indeed magical as Black women, be careful not to feed into the responsibility of the strong Black woman. We are strong. We are strong. No one doubts that. However, it's a huge responsibility. And sometimes in our effort to be strong and hold up to who we are, we do damage to ourselves. So it's okay to take a break sometimes. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to rest and relax. And so that we may be magical, but we're still human. Remember that. And then finally, you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you are feeling like you've depleted everything, then you can't take care of other people. You have to take care of yourself first. That is extremely important. So if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're certainly not taking care of others. I know we're moms, we're spouses, we're daughters, we are friends. You can't give anything to those people unless you're taking care of yourself. So be sure to take care of yourself first. I wanted to also share with you a few therapy resources. I was asked to share, where do you go and seek help? Many women of color prefer to work with women of color. I know I choose to, and I have many people that come to see me simply because I look like them, and that's important. So this resource is for you guys. There's Therapy for Black Girls. That's one site you can go to, and you can find all therapists of color. And then Black Female Therapists is another one. Therapy for Black Girls is probably a lot more popular, and you can find more options there, but Black Female Therapists is another website. And I do believe you guys will have access to my slides. These are my references. So it has the website for both of these on here.